I'm here with Peter Coman and Matthew Deayton, and today we'll be talking about consumerization and its impact on the Pro AV industry. So consumerization is something that we've all accepted, right? These consumer devices have entered into the enterprise environment. What impact have they had on your jobs and on your businesses, and how are they evolving?
Sure. Well, for us as consultants, it's making it increasingly difficult to specify the right technology or the right product or the right solution that should be going in there, because there's pressure to use consumer devices, i.e. LCD panels and the like, where we constantly get the feedback that, well, I can buy it for a third of the price, at the local retailer, and if it dies, I'll just buy another one. And that's the kind of attitude that we're getting from the clients, rather than putting in maybe a commercial panel.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. We're constantly under pressure to look at what's available in the consumer market and then try and apply it into a commercial setting. And we often see certain types of touch panels that pop open because they've been left on for 24 hours a day. LCD screens that are being used, inappropriately used, that burn out very quickly. I think that's obviously one big factor that you have to take into consideration. But at the end of the day, there's also the element from a consumer point of view that the consumer market moves so quickly, and it's very difficult for consultants and integrators to really keep up with what the demands are from the end users. They want devices that can be readily available inside their work environment and in their social environment. And obviously it gives a lot of headaches to the IT departments of the commercial world, because they've got to put all sorts of policies and procedures in place to deal with some of the security elements to it. It puts pressure on the operations teams of corporations, because they've got to make the decisions whether they allow bring your own device or buy a whole lot of corporate purchased devices to hand out to their staff. Those types of things, those types of issues sort of are constantly driving and causing issues inside the corporates.
So how do we as the Pro AV industry start to fight this muddying of the waters, so to speak, where these consumer devices need to be supported and they need to be incorporated into the enterprise environment, but they're obviously not built for it. So how do you start having that conversation with your clients and educating them about the differences, and then maybe in some cases helping them make the right decision between consumer and commercial?
Well, for us, we're getting to the point where we've stopped fighting, because what do we want to do? We're going to upset the client? How hard are we going to fight this decision? If that's what they want, that's what they want. If we do our job and we explain the differences between these devices, and they still want to go ahead against our recommendations and put a product in that we don't believe is correct, well, the onus is back on them. We can continue to fight it until they kick us off the job, and that's not a good outcome for us, obviously. So I think what's happening is that you're getting a lot of the manufacturers out there are starting to realize this, and they're actually producing a prosumer version. So it's a lot more cost effective, still using maybe a lot of the technology from the consumers, but giving it the connectivity, control, and that kind of thing that we expect in a commercial world.
Yeah, I totally agree and echo that completely, that it's, in some ways it's a positive thing that the consumer market is driving the whole industry, and it's getting the manufacturers to wake up to the fact that they've got to come to the party to a certain extent. But also you've got to educate the client that if you purchase that consumer grade device, it's not going to perform anywhere near to the same standards as a standard commercial grade piece of equipment. And then I think the other piece you've got to educate them on is the ongoing support of those types of things. Again, coming from an integrator's perspective, we install consumer grade equipment, and it starts to fail after 3, 6, 8 months. We're the ones that are getting called back to come back and keep on top of it and replace and do all those types of things. So long as the clients are educated and they go with their eyes wide open, then it tends to be okay. It's the situations where they think they're getting one thing and it ends up being something else, and they get obviously a little bit frustrated with life.
Sure. And something that you just mentioned sparked an idea. Is price the real sticking point? Is it just the clients can't understand why they have to pay so much more for a commercial product versus a consumer product?
Well, yesterday I did a presentation about consumerisation in the built environment or in the workplace, and one of my slides I spoke about the fact that companies like your LGs and your Samsungs, who show a tremendous amount of innovation, make some really great products, are almost a victim of their own success because they're making such great panels. The client is going, wow, that's they look amazing, they've got the connectivity, they now have the control that's required, and the client saying, well, look, this is great, I have this at home, and we're trying to justify, we've got the same brand, same manufacturer, the same size, the same resolution, and the commercial panel's 3 times the price of the consumer panel. It's a very difficult, argument to win of why they should be paying 3 times the price.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for us, being system integrators, it's price is always, a topic of discussion. It's always an issue. So we're always looking for opportunities to, be more efficient from a price point of view. But again, it's down to educating the client about the differences, and obviously relying quite, heavily on the consultants in that discussion with the client, so that we're all aware of what we're getting when we purchase it.
Yeah, and does that education have to come from you guys, or do you think the onus must lie on the manufacturer? They need to disseminate.
I think from our perspective, it's a collective message that needs to go back to the clients. It's the manufacturers, it's the consultants, it's the system integrators, all talking, and even within the client, it's the people responsible for purchasing the technology that need to understand the differences in what it is to educate up their hierarchies as well. So it is incumbent on all of us to relay those messages.
And final question, we as an industry, we compete on quality, right? That's how we differentiate ourselves. And that message still resonates at ISE right now if you go to any manufacturer's booth. On the consumer side, it's almost like quality's become secondary. The user experience has superseded it, and now that's the main thing. Do you think that's why there's a lot of friction when consumer devices come into commercial environments? They're built for the user experience being seamless, being easy, being familiar, while we are competing on quality, making sure that we have the best latency, the best resolutions, the best color chroma, the best sampling.
I think the people who are concerned about picture quality and audio quality are all the people at this event this week, okay? We scrutinise it to the nth degree, but at the end of the day, we're not the end users. We're not those people who are sitting in those rooms using that day in and day out. And for them, all that quality is quite often lost on them, okay? We understand it, we see the difference, but for them, they just want something that works, something that's easy, something that's known. And obviously price does come into it, but the quality for them, it's good enough. The consumer product for most of them is good enough. Sure, there's going to be some specialised applications where they need a higher quality product or device, but most of the time, that's not required, and that's not what they're after.
Yeah, I mean, again, echoing those comments. It's the consumer side of things is always going to drive the manufacturers and us to install systems that are more functional and easier to use, and it's that the iPhone kind of analogy. When iPhone first came out, it was a completely intuitive device to use. You put the panel there, you instantly know how to use it, and that's what clients are looking for at the end of the day, because that's what they're getting from their consumer devices. They want their AV environment and other technology environment in their office to function exactly the same way.
It's an expectation.
It's an expectation, yeah. Correct.
So how does the AV industry, which was built on quality, built on those fine details and focusing on them, how do we evolve to meet this new end user who's happy with good enough? Personally,
I think we are evolving into that. We operate with a lot of multinational clients across Asia, and the self-service solutions that we're now putting in for video conferencing and presentations, are amazingly straightforward from an end user's point of view. Obviously, a lot of technology and complication going on behind the curtain, but to the end user who walks into the meeting room and just touches one button and everything switches on, or even you don't even have to touch a button these days because the meeting room system knows that you're coming into a VC with, I'm going to do a VC with Peter. as soon as I walk into the room, it switches on and we're in VC mode, or it knows I'm doing a presentation to a client, it switches on and we're in presentation mode. And so that type of stuff is happening more and more with our corporate clients.
And I think these large consumer players, your Amazons, your Googles, and so on, these companies, and Apple, they're flexing their muscles and they're actually forcing their way into these spaces. And the customer, the end user wants them because it's familiar to them, right? They know it, they understand it, they have that user experience. So they're saying, well, why can't we have this in our workplace? So I think that the traditional Pro AV market needs to take a leaf out of Google's, Amazon, Apple's, Microsoft, throw that in there. Take a leaf out of their book and have a look at what they're doing, because they're the ones that are actually getting that market penetration. Right? And I think there are companies, there's a few companies out there that actually realise that, and they need to produce a product that people actually are after, not necessarily the best picture quality, the best sound quality, the best of everything. I think they need to simplify and actually meet the market. Listen to the market and meet the market.
Yeah, absolutely.
Peter, Matthew, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for chatting with me.
Thank you.
Thanks.